Thank you so much for joining us for CBN NewsWatch. I'm Efrem Graham. Ahead today, Democrats say President Biden should be embarrassed. Democratic leaders blasting the president's handling of classified documents after investigators discovered another batch over the weekend, with Republicans raising questions about where the investigations will lead.
Watergate started as a very small burglary, and it led to the President of the United States resigning.
Today's children spending a great deal of time online, and that makes them vulnerable to pornographic material that can make them vulnerable to sexual exploitation.
What we see over and over again is the hypersexualization of both boys and girls.
Pro-lifers celebrating the end of Roe v. Wade at the 2023 March for Life.
Countless times we chanted the slogan, "Hey, hey, ho, ho, Roe v. Wade has got to go." And today we celebrate Roe is gone.
And we'll take a look at the landscape of abortion laws across the states today. Another major ruling from the Supreme Court hurt the power of unelected bureaucrats to make rules and regulations that could affect your life.
And so the idea there was staff the government with experts who stay no matter who the president is, and have them use their best judgment in order to promote new rules and regulations.
We'll see why this decision was so important and why these mothers and babies are on Capitol Hill. We'll have that answer to that question and more today on CBN NewsWatch.
This is CBN NewsWatch.
We begin this half hour with President Biden's growing political headaches as not only Republicans but also Democratic leaders criticize his handling of classified documents. It comes now after investigators discovered another batch over the weekend. Senior Democrats are dismayed by the stream of startling disclosures, and they're disappointed the White House has not been more forthcoming with the public. CBN's Dale Hurd has our report.
Are Democratic leaders done with Joe Biden? On Capitol Hill, few are defending the president over his classified documents scandal, with key leaders calling for an investigation. An FBI search of Biden's Delaware home Friday found a fourth batch of classified documents, including some from his time as senator, as well as handwritten notes when he was vice president. The discoveries come after Biden said last week that there's nothing to the story.
I think you're going to find there's nothing there. I have no regrets. I'm following what the lawyers have told me they want me to do.
But rather than back the president, Democratic Senator Joe Manchin said Biden should have a lot of regrets and says he's not ready to support a Biden re-election bid in 2024.
Did you intend to harm somebody? Did you intend to basically do an irresponsible thing? I don't think. Hopefully, neither one of them did.
Right.
But they sure turned out to be irresponsible.
Republican Senator Ted Cruz asked on Twitter how Biden was able to take classified documents from his time as a senator more than 14 years ago. Cruz tweeted, "Every single classified document I've read, 100%, have been in a secure, sensitive command information facility in the basement of the Capitol." Senate Majority Whip Dick Durbin called Biden's handling of classified materials unacceptable.
It's not supposed to happen. Whether it was the fault of a staffer or an attorney, it makes no difference. The elected official bears ultimate responsibility.
So that's why there needs to be this independent investigation, an independent prosecutor. How many documents are we talking about? Dozens? A handful or hundreds?
A new poll shows that nearly 2/3 of U.S. adults favor Congress investigating the classified documents found at the Biden home and post-vice presidential office, including a majority of Democrats. White House lawyers reportedly requested Friday's search, but critics point out they likely would have been subpoenaed if they hadn't. Some believe the administration is hoping that by being cooperative, it can hold off an investigation that could lead to an indictment after Biden leaves office. The Justice Department in the past has declined to indict sitting presidents. And Biden undoubtedly knows the old saying from Watergate, "It's not the crime, it's the cover-up."
Watergate started as a very small burglary, and it led to the President of the United States resigning.
Meanwhile, a replacement has been named for White House Chief of Staff Ron Klain, who's announced he's leaving. It's Jeff Zients, who served as White House COVID response coordinator. Dale Hurd, CBN News.
Why did he do it? Investigators are looking for a motive for the gunman who killed 10 people at a Los Angeles area ballroom dance club during Lunar New Year celebration Saturday night. The murders sent a wave of fear through Asian American communities. The suspect, 72-year-old Huu Can Tran, was found dead of a self-inflicted gunshot wound Sunday. He was in the van police say he used to flee after he was stopped from attacking another dance club. The New York Times reports a man whose family runs that club was able to get the gunman away from the assailant. The gun away from the assailant. 7 of the shooting victims are still hospitalized. The local sheriff said all of the people killed appeared to be older than 50. Spending time on social media has become a priority for many of today's young people. Children use it to share just about everything from dance moves to food to the latest fashion trends. But experts are warning that's also risky behavior, as these online platforms have become hubs for sexual predators. Shelley Aaron is on this story.
While social media makes it easy to find and share information, child safety advocates warn it also exposes kids to harmful content, which can make them vulnerable to sexual exploitation.
What we see over and over again is the hypersexualization of both boys and girls.
And that can likely lead to bad results. According to the Internet Watch Foundation, 2021 broke all records for online child sexual abuse, with 252,000 web addresses found, including images or videos of children being sexually abused, compared with 153,000 the previous year. Lena Nealon is with the National Center on Sexual Exploitation.
Kids have smartphones at unprecedented levels, and of course, COVID just supercharged child sexual exploitation as kids, went online in droves.
In December, new Twitter CEO and owner Elon Musk named removing child sexual exploitation content from the platform as a top priority. Shortly after taking over the social media giant, Musk cleaned out the 3 most popular hashtags that had been used to sell child sexual abuse material and added a direct reporting option for child sexual exploitation, a move Nealon and others applauded.
He's raised a lot of attention to the issue at large, and specifically what was or was not happening on Twitter to combat these issues, and he certainly seems to have made some improvements.
Nealon adds that more must be done, especially after Twitter also dissolved its Trust and Safety Team, a group dedicated to addressing the removal of child sexual abuse material.
We don't know if the proper resources have been put in place to tackle these issues. And a major factor I think a lot of people don't understand is that Twitter has created an ecosystem of exploitation, and they're unique in that they allow pornography. And whenever you have pornography with little to no age verification or consent of who's depicted, you're guaranteed to have child sex abuse material.
It's a policy in plain view on the tech giant's website. CBN News reached out to Twitter about the policy and received no response. The issue goes beyond Twitter, as this content is also prevalent on TikTok, a massive social magnet for teenagers.
You see young girls literally stripping and dancing, and in the comments, you see the pedophiles blatantly commenting, offering money, offering gifts.
Meanwhile, Nealon stresses the importance of parents talking with their kids about online predatory dangers, as well as the need for legislation to protect them.
We need to change federal and state policies to hold these corporations accountable. There is so much more they can be doing. They have the resources, both the talent and financial resources to really augment and prioritize child protection. But from what we can see, they're prioritizing profit over and over again.
Charlene Aaron, CBN News.
Coming up, sights and sounds from this year's annual March for Life, the first since Roe v. Wade was overturned, and what the abortion landscape looks like in America today. We're going to have those stories for you when we come back. Speakers and audience members at the 2023 March for Life in Washington Friday celebrated the end of Roe v. Wade after nearly a half century.
Countless times we chanted the slogan, hey, hey, ho, ho, Roe versus Wade has got to go. And today we celebrate Roe is gone.
Because when you're in a battle, it's important to keep your focus on what the mission is, but every step of the way, it's also critical that we celebrate victories along the way. And boy, did we get a huge victory just a few months ago when Roe was overturned.
Psalm 139 tells us that God is watching every one of these young bodies as they're growing in their mother's womb because he placed them there.
Now that the United States Supreme Court has struck down the decision that legalized abortion nationwide, the marchers promised to push for action from Capitol Hill. Movement leaders say they plan to warn Congress against making any attempt to curtail the multiple anti-abortion laws imposed last year in a dozen states. Since the end of Roe versus Wade more than 6 months ago, many states have taken action on abortion. Some states now essentially banning it, while others have passed laws to strengthen abortion rights. Caitlin Burke brings us this look at America's changing legal landscape now that abortion has moved from the Supreme Court to the state legislatures across the country.
I really see this March for Life as one of the most significant yet. Yes, we are in a post-Roe world, but we're really in a new world. What the Supreme Court did in June was they gave this issue to the people and their elected representatives.
Since then, abortion services have nearly ceased to exist in 14 states. In Texas, for example, according to the most recent state data, only 3 abortions were reported for the month of August, all for medical reasons. That's a 99.9% decrease from June. Many of the states now considered the most restrictive had trigger laws go into effect immediately or shortly after Roe was overturned.
The Attorney General of Missouri has now just tweeted that it's the first state to let its trigger laws spring into action, that the abortion is now banned as of today.
Meanwhile, legislatures in other states immediately got to work passing laws to protect abortion rights. President Biden pledging the full support of the federal government.
The first bill that I will send to the Congress will be to codify Roe v. Wade. And when Congress passes it, I'll sign it in January, 50 years after Roe was first decided the law of the land.
That, however, was before the midterm elections. With Republicans now in control of the House, Biden's pledge goes nowhere. And the GOP is already getting to work on multiple pro-life priorities.
I think we have some work to do, but I think there, for example, the condemnation of the violence against pro-life centers, that should pass the Senate. Who could go on record and say they think that's okay? So we'll present to them some challenging things. If they're going to vote against it, I think the voters will take that into account in the next cycle in 2024.
Caitlin Burke, CBN News, Washington.
Still ahead, while the focus in recent days has been on Roe versus Wade, another Supreme Court decision from the last term will also have a huge impact as it dealt with a big blow to federal bureaucrats. We're going to explain right after this. The Supreme Court's ruling to overturn Roe versus Wade lit a firestorm across the nation, but while it did, another court decision slipped under the radar. It delivered a major blow to the power of federal bureaucracy, and it could also have a huge impact on the lives of everyday Americans. Jennifer Wishon explains.
Unelected bureaucrats have long imposed hundreds of thousands of sweeping regulations on every aspect of American life. It's known as the administrative state. Many Americans say it has way too much power, and now the Supreme Court is reining it in. In the aftermath of the Roe v. Wade decision, it was easy to miss, coming just 6 days later. Still, the court's ruling in West Virginia v. EPA packs its own punch by reining in the power that's long been delegated to federal bureaucrats. The case considered the Obama-era Clean Power Plan. President Obama couldn't get Congress to go along with his plan to drastically change the nation's power grid, known as cap and trade. That's when he famously acted on his own.
I've got a pen and I've got a phone. and I can use that pen to sign executive orders and take executive actions and administrative actions that move the ball forward.
Working through the EPA, he expanded a law written in the 1960s to reduce toxic emissions. The move would have transformed the U.S. power grid, and that led a Supreme Court majority to call a foul.
The court said Congress has to say specifically what they want EPA to do if they're going to do something that has such a monumental impact.
Derek Morgan, executive vice president of the Heritage Foundation, calls the court's action significant because increasingly presidents bypass Congress by wielding their executive pens to achieve their agendas.
When you have a government that is looking to do so many things and they face resistance in the legislative branch, we've had a tendency for the president and then through his agencies to try to do everything that they couldn't do legislatively.
And it's not just presidents. Congress also delegates vast powers to federal agencies as a way of dodging the details of their decisions. It can also be politically expedient to use bureaucrats as scapegoats.
Allowing politicians to escape blame by them saying, all I did was vote for clean energy. EPA took this and went way too far. Well, that's not good for accountability. We need to be able to hold the lawmakers accountable for bad policy decisions and bad outcomes.
And it's not just big business. Too often, ordinary citizens find themselves fighting the weight of the federal government for things they couldn't have imagined would land them in trouble. Folks like Andy Johnson, he faced $20 million in fines for building a stock pond on his Wyoming ranch without getting permission from the EPA.
The EPA has came in and threatened to take everything that we've ever known.
And it wasn't just millions that were on the line.
Almost every environmental statute includes criminal provisions, so you could go to jail and face criminal fines for things that most of us take for granted on our own property, like moving dirt from one place to another.
In fact, there are so many of these government regulations, recent efforts to keep track have failed.
I've seen the estimate of at least 300,000, it's probably more like 400 or 500,000 regulations that carry criminal penalties.
Unelected bureaucrats are making regulations that can land you in jail.
Sure, and it's a huge number. We all have one thing in common, me included, which is at one time or another, we have probably violated some criminal regulation. We just don't know it. We were lucky enough not to get caught and prosecuted.
The administrative state was a progressive idea pushed by President Woodrow Wilson and others in the early 1900s. Wilson thought government would be better with experts in charge.
And so the idea there was staff the government with experts who stay no matter who the president is and have them use their best judgment in order to promote new rules and regulations.
And after Wilson planted the seed, FDR cultivated it, as his Depression-era New Deal fundamentally changed the federal government. A number of legal scholars say America's ever-ballooning bureaucracy runs counter to the Constitution. In a 1994 Harvard Law Review article, legal scholar Gary Lawson wrote, "Post-New Deal administrative state is unconstitutional, and its validation by the legal system amounts to nothing less than a bloodless constitutional revolution." So what could the Supreme Court's action mean for Americans? Derek Morgan says it may soon get its first test. California and other states have banned combustion engines starting in 2035, a move that would dramatically change the auto industry, one not created by the legislature, but by a state agency.
And hopefully that will temper some of this Green New Deal that we are starting to see some of the impacts that are really worrisome in places like California or even in Europe, where they've discarded coal.
And look for more guidance from the Supreme Court. Chad Squitieri, an administrative law expert at the Catholic University of America, says the court seems primed to examine whether the administrative state goes against the separation of powers, a bedrock of America's Constitution.
The major questions doctrine, which was applied in West Virginia VPA, is sort of, I like to say, scratching at the non-delegation itch. And I think these types of questions, looking at different ways courts might police how Congress delegates authority to the agencies, is going to be a recurring theme.
And why do you think the court is kind of scratching at that itch, as you say?
I think it's because the current court is more prepared than courts in the past to enforce the original understanding of the Constitution, what we call the original public meaning of the Constitution. particularly the protections of separation of powers and federalism.
It would be a relief to many Americans who want to be governed directly by those they elect and are eager to rid themselves of what they see as gross overreach by unelected bureaucrats. Jennifer Wishon, CBN News.
Coming up, the next generation heads to Capitol Hill. We'll explain why these babies were brought to Washington. When we come back, stay with us. 3 moms, 3 children, and powerful pro-life plea on Capitol Hill. A group of women met with lawmakers Thursday as part of Heartbeat International's Babies Go to Congress campaign. Their message, pregnancy centers are great for America. These moms and babies demonstrating their living proof the good such resources can be. Each mom telling a different story about how their life and their baby was saved.
It's just an honor to be able to share about my life and my daughter's life and how living in a maternity home and accessing pregnancy resources saved my life and saved her life.
Since the campaign's first trip in 2009, the group has sent more than 180 moms and babies to Capitol Hill, visiting nearly 400 congressional offices. Time now for your Monday Motivation. I want to leave you with this thought as we begin this new week in January. Mirror God where you are. He's calling on you to reflect Him in every space you occupy. Your home, your jobs, your street, every space. It doesn't end in the wall of your church. You must be the church long before and after Sunday service. With that word, make today a marvelous Monday. That is going to do it for this edition of CBN NewsWatch. Thank you so much for watching. You can always find more of our programs on the CBN News channel. You can also find them at cbnnews.com. We'd love to know what you think about the stories you've seen here today. You can email us, newswatch@cbn.com. And of course, you can always reach out and touch us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We'll see you back here same time tomorrow. Goodbye, and God bless.